Hello, and welcome back to the Pretty Passionate Podcast. I am your host, your long lost host, Dr. Ruth. And this is our first recording for the year 2026. Believe it or not, we are well into January and almost looking at February, which we know is a short month. And so the part of me that felt run over by a lawnmower at the end of 2025 feels like the lawnmower is still going at the start of 2026. But good things on the horizon. I'm starting the year with all the optimism in the world, and I have missed you, friends. Life has been lifing, but there's also been so much goodness happening that it's really been hard to keep up. I will be doing a better job moving forward of keeping up, but what was planned to be like a planned holiday break turned into more of an extended break because of events I'll catch you up on. So really what I want to do today is just let you know what's been going on since my last episode. One thing you might notice that's new for the new year is where's my headgear? No headphones. The only reason I was wearing them was not to look super cool, but because the sound, I was having issues. When I first recorded the podcast, I was using different mics trying to see what works best. And I noticed that there were sound issues that I wasn't catching. And then I would record a whole episode and not realize that the sound was completely off. Killed me. So I started wearing headphones because the headphones allow me to hear myself in a way that is not distracting, but it allows me to know that the sound is on and working properly. Now, I guess mostly because I've also started using a different podcast recorder software, I don't have this issue anymore. Frankly, it's night and day, and it's been a game changer for me in terms of worrying about that quality of audio and video and getting that together. And not only that, it allows me to do a test recording that lets me know that, okay, everything is on and working, and I'm not just talking and not getting audio. Because having a video of yourself for 45 minutes doing this it's not hot. It's not hot, especially when you remember the fun and witty things you said, and no one will ever know. So this is a new thing I'm trying. Now you can see my ears. I do indeed have ears, and yeah, we'll try this format going forward. It makes it more comfortable. I feel more natural this way anyway. Okay, so on to other things. If you recall from last episode, my husband and I were unable to record Stranger Things because he caught a bug from one of the kids that was visiting us around Thanksgiving, and it would not leave his life. And then I happened to get it. So that's great. So we were both kind of down, and his voice was out, in and out for weeks. It's so crazy what kids will get and how it affects you as an adult. Kids will get it and bounce back in a day or two. You get it and you're down for a couple of weeks. Things kind of just rolled one into the other around the holidays. I'm still catching up on all the good things that really have happened lately. It's been stressful time-wise because there's so much compacted into a short period of time, but also it's good stuff. I didn't have any tragedies in the last several weeks, at least not that I count tragedies because I'm still here, alive and ticking. And yeah, we'll get into it. I have even fallen off on social media, TikTok, Instagram. I had been doing so well with my posting for the last 6 months. So for those of you who I know were just desperately concerned about where I am, I'm going to be dropping dumps. Photo dumps in the form of carousels. I think I'll just share carousel form. I don't have time to do all this editing and making super classy looking reels. And it's not something I find fun. Do you guys enjoy making reels? I don't. I don't mind making TikToks. Reels, I'll be sharing carousels over what my last month or so has been like and what's been going on with us. Because of course, if you don't have pictures, it didn't happen, right? So do head over at your leisure to @PrettyPrescription on Instagram and TikTok if you care to peruse and catch up with what's going on with me. I mentioned to you guys that we would be attending the Monica and Brandy concert in New Orleans with my sisters, and that was one of the most amazing 4 or 5 days of my life. We saw the concert the first night I got there. Remember, I was telling y'all I was going to drive if I had to. Thank God it was completely eventless and on time. So I was able to touch down and then get ready for the concert. And we had a blast. I tell you, Monica and Brandy, whatever you're doing to hold on to your youth and beautiful looks, keep it going. Those ladies are drinking a lot of water. They're getting good rest. They're resting their instrument. They're probably not yelling at a lot of people, on the regular basis. Brandy sounds like you just push play on a CD. Yes, I said CD intentionally. She sounds like you just push play on a CD, and just the vocal range and the control she has is really something. And this is not to overshadow Monica's talent at all, but they've always been like two different types of singers. I feel like Monica's always been like the more soulful, ahead of her age singer. I remember when she was younger, there were a lot of comparisons to Anita Baker when she first came out. And Brandy is just like, so they played these montages in between the little sets, and they were really great because they were videos about each of them, about Brandy, about Monica, about the Boy Is Mine song, about their beautiful career that they've each enjoyed. There was one point where everyone was providing commentary about Brandy's singing, and the words vocal Bible came up multiple times. They were like, vocal Bible, vocal Bible. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's the word everybody used to use to talk about her. So I don't want to act like I came up with that. That's why I gave you that story. So yeah, Brandy was still up there vocal Bibling, and it was great. It was some of the best money I've ever spent with my besties, drinks, amazing crowd. There was a newlywed couple, a man and his husband, in front of us that were the best time ever. I wish I knew more about them, a name or anything. But, sometimes you're just like, the reason, season, and time was to be at that concert together. But they joined me and my sisters, and we're all singing our hearts out. There was a lady to my left. I think she was from Mississippi. She was more of a Brandy than a Monica fan, but she was still here for all of it. And we just had a good time. Like, we've been knowing each other for years. And I remember at one point, because I try to do this sometimes ever since my wedding, someone gave me advice at my wedding, periodically stop and look around and just like drink in the scene, because once you leave here, it's all going to be a blur, and it will be hard for you to actually remember a lot at your wedding. And almost 10 years later, I can attest to the truth of this, especially after you have kids and your memory takes a hit from that. But yeah, there are things that people tell me happened at my wedding. I'm like, or people who may have attended that I didn't get to talk to. So yeah. Anyway, that said, I since then developed a habit of visual memory storage, forcing myself to take in an image and store it. And it's actually something I have honed as quite a skill. I guess I have a little bit of a photographic memory because when I make myself stop and do it, it's seared in. Like, for example, where I've parked my car. When I tell you, comes in handy. Where I parked my car, I just like look at it for a second and take a mental picture, and then I don't have to do anything else. But I digress. So I looked around the room. This beautiful R&B from my adolescence is playing, and everybody's having a good time. And Keisha Cole opened. More on that in a second. But I looked around the room and everybody's singing and it's just beautiful. And I really had one of those moments of like, gosh, being Black is so lit. Like, so fun. Every once in a while when you have one of those moments where you're like, yeah, we're so awesome. We were just having a time. I didn't see any nonsense breakout. Yeah, people politely waited in their lines. It was great. It was great. When I was talking to my sister about it, she was like, I think part of that was the age of the group there. I was like, you're probably right. Just a grown crowd that was there to have a good old time, enjoying, reminiscing, letting the music take you back to wherever you were when you first heard it. And bravo to the ladies. I mentioned Keisha Cole. She opened. It was incredible. Incredible. In fact, part of me, I loved Kelly Rowland, who was like the official opener, and she put on a ridiculous show, a show that just, oh my gosh. And the way she looks is almost distracting to her music because she's so head to toe, chef's kiss. What is she doing? What is her exercise routine? I know she exercises her tail off. This woman is in her 40s, has born children, and is really keeping it fit. Face, everything, skin, lovely. She inspired me, Kelly, to actually add to my list of topics that I want in upcoming episodes to do maybe like a split beauty focus episode. Our skin health is so important. And aside from products that we slather on, you get from the drugstore, you get from Sephora, Ulta, wherever, people like Kelly Rowland are aging the way they are because of interventions. And I'm not saying that in a bad way or an accusatory way. I'm saying they are doing high-level maintenance, medical grade maintenance that I want to discuss with you guys. So stay tuned for that. But again, I digress. Just a wonderful night. And then we just spent the rest of the trip visiting NOLA stuff and eating NOLA food. Some really great restaurants, amazing food. My sister did most of the restaurant picking but I really literally, it was like just the perfect vacation because it had all my favorite things, like walking around a city. I love a walkable city. I love, people, but not crazy crowds, but just like a lot of people. So that was nice. And because of the time of year, it wasn't crazy crowded because I can't handle New Orleans at Mardi Gras. That's a no for me. The temperature was a little colder than usual. It was a little unseasonably cold, but I was prepared for that. And yeah, the people that live and work there, their hospitality really takes a visit to New Orleans to that next level to me. It's almost like you're visiting the Caribbean. People are so kind and helpful and just open and warm. I always think about in a sad way that I know so many residents left with Katrina. We talked about that 20th anniversary recently. I know so many natives that left, especially in the Atlanta area. You meet a lot of people who left around that time. And part of me is a little worried, nervous, concerned for the future that is that authentic part of the culture going to start to slowly fade away as the native New Orleans and people migrate elsewhere for better opportunity. City's doing great, lots of businesses, lots of restaurants, but still has a ways to go. And so I was happy to support one of my favorite cities in these United States, and there is no question I'll be back. Funny enough, my husband, who has been to like most countries in the world, has never been to New Orleans. So we're going to have to make a trip there. But love it. If you haven't been, you're missing out. 3-4 days will be enough, and you will have a great old time. So the following week after the concert, it was my son's 4th birthday, which I just cannot believe that he's 4 already. Time is cruel. Time is cruel and relentless, and there's nothing we can do about it. So because of scheduling stuff, my husband was traveling out for work, I was traveling. We decided to keep it simple. And we actually went with a good old standby, Chuck E. Cheese, for the day. Well, not the whole day, but to take him there. I forgot how simple and really fun that place is for little kids. It's a smaller environment. So for me, it's like a little bit less hectic, scary than those massive jump places where you turn your back for a second and who knows where they are. The paranoid mom in me really enjoyed that. And I realized also I haven't been there in like 15 years, I'm going to guess, because I'm an adult and you shouldn't be at Chuck E. Cheese unless you're invited there by someone. So yeah, having not had a good reason to be inside the walls of Chuck E. Cheese in over a decade, it was a fun blast from the past reminder. They kind of keep it true to the 80s nostalgia, but with updates. Like the music is lit. There was a couple of like original Chuck E. Cheese hits. I was in there. I was like, this is kind of hard. A couple of rap videos with the characters or whatever. I can't remember all their names, but the kids loved it. The games were all very age appropriate. I would definitely want to take them again. No, Chuck E. Cheese has not paid me a dime to say this. Did you also know? Did you also know that Chuck E. Cheese has beer and wine available? Yeah. Beer and wine. Important. I don't think it's appropriate for anybody to get lit at the Chuck E. Cheese, but I'm going to say a glass of wine makes the whole thing better. That's the only downside is the only downside to that was I was like, can I get this poured into a cup, please? So I don't look like a freaking alkie. My husband comes back and he has like a White Claw or something like that. And I had asked him to get me just a white Zinfandel because it's like one of those wines I can drink like not accompanied by a meal and not feel like, ugh, gross. He brought it to me and it was in this tiny bottle. I was like, where is the cup? He was like, oh, they don't give cups. So I was a little embarrassed. Like, you can't make it 5 minutes, lady. You can't just make it for the 2 hours. No, it wasn't that. It was just like, oh, a novelty. I didn't know they sold alcohol here. Sure, I'll have a glass of wine. I thought it was going to be one of those clear plastic cups or some Chuck E. Cheese branded cup. No. So I just had to like unscrew the top. And then I just like wrap my napkin around it. And my husband goes, do you think that makes it look better? It's like, it actually makes you look like more of a hobo when you wrap the brown napkin around it. So we had a good laugh at that. But highly recommend. Highly recommend if you're looking for some place to take the kids and burn some serious energy this weekend. And then suddenly after that, it was Christmas, just enough time to do my shopping. I did visit the Brown Toy Box. If you have not visited that store, my kids absolutely love that place. Visit the Brown Toy Box in Atlanta if you happen to be there. Black-owned toy store. Adorable. My son is still talking about it. Anyway, so Christmas came upon us, and we did Christmas at home in Georgia this year. And although we missed the craziness and wonderfulness of everybody getting together, like my whole family, and our wild and crazy get-togethers with the kids running around the house, and I love when they're all in the same room opening Christmas gifts. It is the most adorable mayhem. I did enjoy the simplicity of not having to pack and run through the airport with the kids and try to mail gifts. This is usually what I do wherever we're going to stay. I try to mail all of their gifts, which also means that I have to travel back with those gifts, which means that we kind of have to make it a leaner Christmas so that we can be agile for travel. And when we're home, we can kind of, be a little bit more indulgent. So I did enjoy the simplicity, and we do the matching pajamas thing. Shout out to Pottery Barn because the original set I ordered from Children's Place, that shipping update kept changing. So Pottery Barn in a pinch with the overnight shipping. And honestly, they're like some of the best pajamas I've ever worn. So highly recommend if you're curious for next year. Then it was New Year's and Haitian Independence Day, obviously. Obviously. If you didn't know, January 1st is actually Haitian Independence Day, 1804, officially the first Black Republic in the Western Hemisphere. As a proud Haitian American, I always, as a rule, have to make my soup Joumou. If you don't know what soup Joumou is, a quick Google search will let you take in the deliciousness that is this homemade, full of love soup. So it is squash based. It is chock full of vegetables, carrot, celery, cabbage, usually includes pasta and meat, like stew beef. But you can toy with the meat to substitute for whatever you want. I like to throw in some smoked pork for flavor, and that ends up being like fall off the bone delicious. And the significance is that this soup was made by the formerly enslaved people once they gained their independence on January 1st, because it was a soup that they were always tasked with making for their owners. They had to make this decadent food for their owners, and they were not allowed to have any for themselves. So, as cruelty goes, making a delicious meal for someone and then not being able to have a scrap is a special kind of unfairness. And so when the formerly enslaved gained their independence, the first thing they did was make the exact meal that they were forced to prepare for their captors and enjoy it for themselves as free people, and to allow that nutrient rich, protein rich meal to fortify them for the coming year, for the coming establishment um, of their new republic after having been depleted from the ongoing war for independence and, defeating Napoleon and all that. La, la, la. We associate as a people Subjumu with strength, the strength of the Haitian people in terms of fortifying yourself for the year. It's just a tradition. It's not like a crazy thing. I don't think you're gonna like drop dead if you don't have your soup and your Haitian, but it's kind of like a tradition. Like, my single Haitian cousins would always come to my mom's house, or, wherever your nearest auntie is, you're gonna stop by and get yourself some soup so that you can have a great year. I think this overlaps or is very similar in tone and seriousness to the Black Eyed Peas tradition that many Black American people observe. My husband actually, his family doesn't really do that very much. They know about it, but it's not a thing. Like, whereas if I called my mother and told her that we didn't have any soup Joumou, I would never do such a thing. Like, I had to make my homemade batch, group chat, sharing our pictures and, our little prep and stuff. And the kids love it. My daughter's a soup person, so she wanted to take it to school for lunch for the next several days. And I was proud to be able to carry forth that really strong and I think beautiful tradition from our Haitian culture down to the next generation. So, I'm putting together a little recipe book for my kids that is just going to have like actual printed out, written out recipes with tweaks and stuff for all the food that I make for them. Not because I need them to eat exactly the way that I fed them. It's something I wish I had. I think our ancestors, islanders, they don't write down recipes like that. Not at least that I've ever seen. It's committed to memory, and you got to spend time around them cooking to pick this stuff up. And, with my mom, it's hard for her to tell you. She's the kind of person, she cooks so well and is so a part of the fabric of her being that she can't tell you a recipe. Like, you have to just stand there with your pencil and paper and like jot down it. What are you doing? Okay, how much of that? Okay, got it. Because otherwise she'll be like, then you put some this, some that, some this, some that. What's some? How much? And growing up here, we're more of a how many cups, how many ounces? You get it. I'm very proud of myself for having been able to glean from my mom how to make this soup for my kids, and I hope to make it easy for them to carry on the tradition in future generations. So, and after New Year's, it was my birthday. Yay! January 7th, I celebrated my birthday. As a person who is well into the 40-40 club, I can say some parts do get sweeter with time. I think the one thing that matters the most is that self-love, self-acceptance part gets richer and deeper with each year above 40 that I have experienced. Not that I don't care what you guys think, but that care factor that I remember, that inner monologue of like what other people think that maybe was more important in my 20s and 30s is just far less important now. When you're over 40, it's nice that you naturally begin to focus on what makes you happy. And that invitation that wouldn't really be your jam, you turn it down. Yeah, that comment you didn't like that someone made. I mean, you can ignore it, or you can just speak your mind freely and say, well, that was weird. Well, that was offensive. I don't know. I just, the closer I guess that I get to 50, I can feel that pressure ratcheting down, that pressure that I have traditionally put on myself to strive for perfection is slowly ratcheting down. And I love that for me. Even as it pertains to approaching this podcast, I'm glad that I came to it at this point in my life because I accepted right from the outset that perfection was not required for me to get started. This is a journey. I just got the ball rolling. And the day was wonderful thanks to my amazing husband. I love the cards the most. I know some people don't care about cards. I love my cards. I treasure my cards. I keep all of my cards, especially if you actually wrote something for me in it. Oh, I'm keeping it, baby. I'm keeping it. So we enjoyed gift cards and cake with the kids. And then we had a grown-up date after we put them down. We went out to a restaurant in Midtown Atlanta called Kinjo Room for sushi because sushi is like my favorite. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Italian food is up there, but when it comes to like just going out and celebrating, I feel like I really enjoy sushi. I think the reason is because it doesn't weigh you down. After you eat sushi, you can still go out and do other things. You're not just feeling that postprandial heaviness, that itis. And sushi allows you to get a bunch of different things. You don't have to like commit to one big entree. So I digress. But Kinja Room, highly recommended. Great service, great food, great drinks, actually, too. Then we hopped across the street to a wine bar. It's called Barcelona. I enjoyed some wine. My husband enjoyed some cocktails. And we just had ourselves a lovely grown up time, which is really all this girl wanted for her birthday. A date with my boyfriend. Because we don't get to do that so often. So it is a gift for me. One thing I will say is when you have kids, they make your birthday so special. I'm not one of those people who automatically is obsessed with my birthday or, doing some countdown and, oh, it's Capricorn season. Although I'm a proud Capricorn, like somehow, some way my birthday sneaks up on me. I guess because of the holiday or whatever. Either way, not super focused on it. But your kids will make such a big deal out of your birthday. They actually remind you to make a big deal out of the birthday and make you remember that every single day you have on this earth is a gift and that you really should celebrate another year that you have reached, another milestone you've reached of happy, healthy life. So, both of my kids are in on it now because my son is 4, so he's really into birthdays and celebrations and Christmas now too. And they just are the most thoughtful little human beings, and they just make everything all the sweeter. Their cards with their little love letters and stuff. All right, I'm not gonna make myself cry right now, but it was very special, very special. Yeah, I went into that weekend feeling lots of love. And that weekend, I was actually supposed to be in New York on the 10th. I was on my way to the airport, on time, I might say, not speeding, heading south on I-85 when a 19-year-old plowed his car right into mine. He was trying to avoid a vehicle stopping short in front of him and kind of swerved left. Fortunately, I was to his left, and that was all she wrote for my steering column. I cannot tell you how shocking this was for me. I know these kinds of things happen to people, but out here driving in these streets a very long time, and I've been in like minor fender benders, but thank God never like a major motor vehicle accident. And he kind of shoved me into the next lane. So it was a harrowing, I'd say probably 3 seconds, but felt like a longer time. And so that affected the rest of that weekend. And then the following week, I was kind of rough. They say when you're in a car accident, like you do you do feel a progressively worsening soreness for about 4 or 5 days, and then once it peaks, it starts to get better, but I have to tell you, like, it's not cute. Just like slips and falls are not cute after the age of 20. Getting into a high-speed motor vehicle collision after the age of 40, I wouldn't recommend it. Highly don't recommend. But this is not me complaining because the way the accident happened and the way that I almost ended up in like a multiple car pileup, I'm so grateful to God that my life was spared, that I was able to totally walk away without like broken bones was the biggest thing. It could have easily gone another way, and grateful is the only word that comes to mind. Grateful, grateful, grateful. So that actually contributed to my worsening podcasting delinquency. I wasn't planning on, extending my holiday break, but after that, I gave myself a little more time to get back into the swing of things, and I'm back. And with a little more Advil and muscle relaxers than before, I am still here in one piece and grateful and glad to be sitting in front of this mic gabbing with you about just regular life. So there's my PSA about gratitude because you just never know. You just never know. I had my plans, I had my plane ticket, I had my seat all selected on Delta, and my plans changed in an instant. And I'm not trying to, scare anyone or traumatize you or anything. I'm just trying to share the headspace that the incident put me in, which is just extreme gratitude for my life, my loved ones around me. Everybody got an extra tight hug in the days after that. And, my car, it's a thing. It really didn't matter to me at all. And thankfully the driver's insured, but I also have insurance and no thing is worth getting super upset about only because the most important thing was not lost in the accident. I think they're going to let me know if it's repairable or what. So I'm still waiting on updates on that. And, life goes on. But this is just, 2025 was overall kind of a raggedy year for me and for most of us after January, I will say. It was like doing great, like coming off of the holiday, 2024. I remember we were in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, like sometime mid-month. Like I was on a high at the beginning, middle of January. And then things just kind of slowly just headed downhill. And 2025 had an energy that I was happy to be rid of. And although I started 2026 with an unexpected event, I'm still grateful to be at the start of a new year. My birthday coinciding with the new year is always really fun for me because it's like literally my own personal New Year's. And yeah, it's very thought provoking. Although there were lots of blessings, lots of good stuff that happened in 2025. I will say that most of us would describe it as a tumultuous year with a lot of anxiety provoking stuff going on, a lot of uncertainty. Uncertainty is a word I heard a lot with people kind of summing up their 2025s on social media. But again, it still held its blessings. I'm glad to be here and glad to be not in traction. Wishing you all a belated, please accept my apologies, very happy new year. I wanted to just take this time to wish you guys a happy new year and let you know now that I'm back in action what we have coming up more on the entertainment side of things. Quentin and I, we were both destroyed by a cold virus, but we are going to be doing our reaction to the Stranger Things final season and also to the premiere of the Night of Seven Kingdoms. Game of Thrones is a world that is near and dear to my heart. I am a book reader, so I did read the books. I did not read the novellas that this new series is based on. I wanted to read them, but the year got away from me, and now I don't want to read them and spoil myself. So I'll probably end up reading them after the season. But my husband and I are huge fans of Game of Thrones, of course, because sci-fi fantasy, that's like our jam. Okay. So we'll be doing week to week reaction recaps to that. And also I think we'll catch up on some reality stuff and my hot takes on the latest in the Bravo sphere. And we're going to jump into the beauty bag a little more this year. I'm going to hit you guys with my skincare recommendations and things that you can do. It's just going to be a short segment in the winter season to optimize your skin for summer. There's stuff you can really take advantage of while we're covering and not outdoors so much that will yield a glowing face now and over the summer. What I mentioned with Kelly Rowland, like it's more than just what face wash and et cetera that you're using, although those things are great. It is really also about some of my favorite minimally invasives. And we'll get into that. If you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to email prettyprescription17@gmail.com. And oh, one last thing I forgot to mention after Game of Thrones is my husband put me on to Fallout. So while I was laid up with heating pads and ice packs after the car accident, I got to catch up on Fallout. There's only one season, wasn't hard to do. I like zombie shows. I'm not sure why I never got into this one when it first premiered, but season 2 has also premiered. And so now that we're all caught up, that's something that we will briefly touch on, probably in the same episodes where we talk about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We're going to be deep into our little sci-fi fantasy bag in the coming weeks, and I hope you guys decide to join us. I'm looking forward to it, looking forward to getting back to something that I love, something that I'm very passionate about, and I hope you are too. Okay, until next time, bye.